All right, welcome back. Joe Blasco here with Dan Striepeke. Dan, this is a private class that you're offering. This is not really open to the public, right?
That's correct.
You're being very selective with the people that you put into this class.
Only by invitation.
Only by invitation. Are you inviting people strictly from the motion picture industry, or are you picking and choosing from other areas?
No, I don't want to get the class larger than 4 people at a time, because we're very individual efforts going on here, and I don't like to put my thumb into their clay, so to speak. I like to give some instruction, and if the person is getting, way off base as far as proportion or whatever, then I'll say, well, why don't you do this, or it's suggestive.
Right.
And that's the way I like to teach.
What do you teach them to do first? What's the first project?
First project I had was I wanted them to do a Grecian lady of 3,000 years ago in classical Grecian style.
Yeah.
Very nice hairstyle. I'll grab a piece here if you want me to.
Yeah. Why don't you grab
Just hand me that piece right there,
There
please.
you go.
And,
This is really beautiful.
well, this is an idea, just to give you some thought on it, that she kind of matches the canons of beauty.
Yes.
And the cheekbones, of
Yeah.
course, the proportions of the face.
That aquiline bridge
In
to
the bridge,
nose.
yes. And I gave her probably a little fuller lips, because today we like full lips.
Yeah, you're right.
But
Look at the
that was
hairstyle,
the original, and the hairstyle, of course. Now, one of the students here has done a hairstyle on her sculpture with a kind of a Grecian braid in it, which she has a great idea, because when we go to the bronze, she's going to have that as a bright burnished bronze.
Yeah.
And the sculpture also has an amulet,
Yes.
and that's going to be a bright bronze, and it'll probably be
That'll be
a
beautiful.
soft sepia tone
Yes.
to the skin. So it'll be quite pretty. But that's the sort of thing we're doing.
Yeah.
And
You're really passionate about this.
I am.
This is
I
so
am.
beautiful to see
And
this.
I was talking to one of the ladies today. I said, well, why don't we step up a notch and do your version of Rodin's The Kiss, which is a very famous sculpture,
Yes.
of course. And it's, the man and woman are just about to kiss. Yeah. And just do the heads. Don't worry about the bodies. And she liked the idea.
Yeah.
So
Has she started on that yet?
not yet. She's still finishing up the one she's doing.
Now, who are the girls that are in class now?
We have Kathy Blondell and Linda Gurusich and Linda Trainoff. And
Very famous. These are very famous names in the motion picture industry. Hairstylists.
very successful.
Great repute, very successful, who have done scores and scores of motion pictures and who have worked with many, many big celebrities. And we're going to be talking to each of them today as well.
Yeah. We're just having a lot of fun. We alternate bringing lunch, and we have our glass of wine,
Right.
and the awning.
That's important, the wine.
The wine, of course, and you're
I should have
invited.
thought to
You're
bring
invited.
some
You're
wine.
no,
You
you're
know
gonna.
what? Next
You're
time
invited.
I'll
we
come-
have plenty
I'll bring
here.
some
We
champagne.
have plenty here.
Some champagne.
And I can crack a bottle open for you if you'd like. And so
I'm already on camera now.
no, but I mean, the thing is, we're also going to expand the class into painting also, because I like to paint.
Yes, you have a beautiful little studio right off the pool.
Yeah,
there.
my little dacha, I call it.
Right. And he has paintings all over the house that he's done, and three-dimensional paintings as well. The one that you did in there with the
Stainless steel.
Stainless
Yeah,
steel is
yeah.
particular interest.
And
we'll show that to you. Don't
yeah,
go away.
so the thing is that being an artist, and first and foremost known as a makeup artist or as a hairstylist, what people have a tendency to forget is that it didn't come from nothing. There had to be some talent there to be eminently successful,
Yes.
as you know,
Absolutely.
and as we've talked before
Yes.
about forming or conforming the face to you know, what the
Understanding
character
light and
is going to
shade,
be,
right,
and
light and
highlight
shade.
and shadow. And I tell you, in teaching makeup artists, when I was head of the department at 20th Century Fox,
And you were there for what, 10 years? Right?
no, about 6.
6 years.
Uh,
It's a big job.
until they closed it. But in the apprenticeship program, the toughest thing for the apprentices to learn is highlight and shadow.
Yeah.
And I would work with them constantly, and do an old age makeup with nothing other than highlight and shadow.
Right.
And there was a makeup artist by the name of Bob Stepanoff
I know the name.
who did all of Goldwyn's pictures.
Yes.
And Mr. Stepanoff, if you look at Prisoner of Zenda and some of these pictures, all black and white film,
Yes.
but all highlight and shadow, just beautiful blending,
Yes, yes.
beautiful chiaroscuro,
Yeah.
you know, and it took these wonderful abilities of
Yes.
painting,
Yes.
sculpture, and you bring it all together
Into makeup.
to make up, and you could
Was he a
create
painter
that.
first?
He was a
was.
wonderful
Oh, okay.
painter. Yes, yes.
Bill
indeed.
Tuttle, I believe, was
Bill Tuttle is a
puppet.
wonderful painter.
Yeah,
Yes,
an artist as well.
yes. But you know, so one goes with the other,
Yes.
and
The
I
same
think
principle,
that
same principles.
yes, I think that
Yep.
you know, if you like, for instance, you take a raw talent, you do a lot of that.
Yes.
I think if they on their own would take the bull by the horn, so to
Yes,
speak,
yes.
and do sculpture,
Yes, yes.
they then get that proportion and
Absolutely.
form.
They have that understanding prior to
Absolutely.
even starting
Yeah.
makeup. See, that's what we look for when you start a class at either of my schools and in many of the other schools as well. The questions that you have to answer, one or two of the questions you have to answer are: have you ever been to art school?
Right.
Do you sculpt?
Right.
You know, have you ever oil painted?
Right.
You know, do you understand or have you ever studied anatomy?
Right.
So these are important.
Right.
If you have an understanding of all of this, then you can take that understanding and you can transpose it right into the art of makeup beautifully.
And it's necessary.
Yeah.
It's necessary. You know, I've seen people work who do nothing but wash
Right.
color. I mean,
Right.
you know, and they don't deal with it.
Right.
And color, after all, is a form in itself and
Absolutely.
a line.
Well,
And-
color itself,
Yeah.
depending on the value, depending on its intensity, can also highlight and
Oh,
shade. You
absolutely.
can highlight and shade with color.
Absolutely.
You know, back in the old days when we did black and white, you could shade with various reds. They would use cheek colors. Then, and what people didn't understand is that like the facial shapes that the Westmores created were originally created because of the black and white process.
Of course.
Where if you did the cheek color in this fashion or in this fashion, all of these various shapes, in black and white it would appear as a shadow.
Absolutely.
And so many people took that technique and tried to adapt it for color, but it only works to a certain extent. in
Very,
color.
very limited, yeah,
Yeah,
as
very
far as
limited. So we found that in order to take that same concept and to create the shadows that we were able to do with reds in black and white, we have to really analyze the true color of the shadow, and it's the color of the skin with less light going into it, which makes it more gray.
That's
So
right.
what we do is we darken it to create a real shadow. We learned that a shadow is created by taking the color of the skin, which in this case with makeup would be the base tone, then you darken it with a little brown, and then to make it look as though there's less light and more natural as a shadow, we add gray to it.
That's right.
So this is how we actually make the colors.
And a
that-
complementary highlight to go
Exactly,
with the
exactly.
shadow,
So
of
you have,
course.
you have
Yeah.
these real shading colors and highlighting colors, and this is the art that has to continue.
But
This-
the thing that's most important is when your subject sits down in the chair, you have to be able to discern
Yes.
what that face needs
Yes,
as far
exactly.
as form,
And that's where the understanding.
That's where the sculpture
that's
comes
right,
in.
That's right. Anatomy.
anatomy.
The
You know the
bone
bone.
structure.
For instance, when I start forming an ovoid for a sculpture of a head,
Yes.
I already see where that frontal bone is. I know
Right.
where the mastoid bone is. I
Right.
know where the cheekbone, the jawbones, and
Right.
blah, blah, blah.
Right, right.
I mean, I see it even though it isn't there.
You see it, and then your fingers have to make it
Then
materialize.
you
bring it out.
bring it out.
Right.
You find it.
Right. It's the same thing with makeup,
Absolutely.
but with paints.
With the
But you start off with the form there. There's a certain amount of form already there. So what we're doing in makeup is we're altering the form.
But you have to realize the form first
That's right,
to be able to
first.
alter it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
great.
It's kind of like the horse or the carriage,
Right,
so to
right,
speak.
right. Which one's first?
Yeah.
That's right.
You know, I meant to talk to you about, and she was going to be here today, Dr. Julia Hunter.
Yes.
And
yes.
she couldn't. She got booked up with
I
patients.
have the
and
skincare
things.
products that you sent me.
You did,
This
yes.
doctor that Danny knows
Yeah.
manufactures these very unique skincare products, and I'm going to do a makeup moment. I'm going to explain these products. If not during this installment of MUA TV,
Right.
definitely during the next installment, and we're going to interview this doctor and find out exactly what makes these products so unique.
She's absolutely
Well,
amazing.
if you're impressed with them, they've got to have a lot of merit.
Just amazing person. But anyway, that's another reason why I'm doing sculpture here, is because not just for our own self-serving and everything, it's that it's such a marvelous learning process, just marvelous. And you know, the amazing thing about it is when you're doing sculpture in clay, or whether you do it in stone or whatever, you can change a little bit of a line, just barely, and the whole damn thing changes. It isn't just that one particular point of the face. You can change the frontal bone or that eyelid a little bit, and all of a sudden you go from a comedic or a drama to a comedic character. I mean, you know.
And the same with makeup.
Absolutely.
So if you start off understanding this concept three-dimensionally with sculpture, then you don't have to really learn it in makeup. You just bring it into your work.
Brings it in and and the makeup amplifies it and makes it refined.
Right. Isn't this a great way, what you're doing now, of continuing your enthusiasm and your excitement for makeup artistry?
I'm having more fun and we're going to have a glass of wine. We're going to have a glass of wine after this. So.
Okay, and while we're preparing to have a glass of wine and to talk to the young ladies who are over in the sculpting area, you take a look at this and we'll be right back.